Welcome back to Exposure Stories. What started as a quiet shift in tone has now turned into something far more intense, something that fans of NHRA can't ignore anymore. At the center of it all are Brittany and Alexis DeJoria, two respected names in a sport where respect is everything. For years, everything between them appeared normal on the surface. The interviews were controlled, the interactions were civil, and the competition stayed where it belonged, on the track. But recently, something shifted. And it wasn't subtle. When Brittany addressed the situation, fans immediately picked up on the difference. This wasn't the usual polished media response. There was no attempt to smooth things over or keep things vague. Instead, there was a noticeable edge, something sharper, more deliberate. Her words didn't sound like frustration in the moment. They sounded like something that had been building quietly for a long time. So when she said, "Some people out here don't race clean, even when the cameras are on," it didn't feel like a general statement. It felt targeted. And even without directly naming Alexis DeJoria, the implication was enough to ignite speculation across the racing world. In NHRA, that kind of statement carries serious weight. This isn't a sport where drivers openly call each other out. There's an unspoken code: handle your issues privately, keep the respect intact, and let performance do the talking. That's why Brittany's comments hit differently. She didn't break that code loudly, but she bent it just enough to make everyone pay attention. And when she followed it up with the idea that she didn't trust certain people, the situation shifted from competitive tension to something personal. Because trust isn't just about racing, it's about safety, integrity, and the belief that everyone on the track is playing by the same rules. To fully understand why this moment matters, you have to consider who Brittany is within the sport. As the daughter of John Force, she carries one of the most powerful legacies in drag racing history. The Force name isn't just respected, it's iconic. It represents decades of dominance, resilience, and an unwavering refusal to back down. Brittany has spent her career living up to that standard, building her own identity while still carrying the expectations that come with the name. She's known for her discipline, her focus, and her ability to stay composed under pressure. She's not a driver who creates drama. So when she speaks in a way that suggests conflict, it signals something serious. Fans believe this tension didn't start with one moment. It built slowly, almost invisibly, through small interactions that only became meaningful in hindsight. A glance that lingered too long. A handshake that felt forced. An interview where the tone subtly shifted when Alexis's name was mentioned. At first, these moments were easy to dismiss. After all, this is a competitive sport where emotions run high. But over time, those small details started to form a pattern. And now, with Brittany's comments out in the open, fans are revisiting those moments with a new perspective, trying to piece together what might have been happening behind the scenes. The rumors surrounding the situation have only added to the intensity. Some suggest the issue stems from on-track behavior, staging tactics, aggressive moves, or decisions made in the heat of competition that may have crossed an unspoken line. Others believe the real story lies off the track, in the pits, where conversations happen away from cameras and tensions can escalate quietly. There are even theories about political dynamics within the sport, how drivers are perceived, how narratives are shaped, and how influence can play a role in opportunities and recognition. None of these theories are confirmed, but Brittany's tone has given them credibility in the eyes of fans. One of the most striking parts of her alleged comments was the suggestion that she had been silent for a long time. When she said, "I stayed quiet because I didn't want it to be a thing," it changed how people interpreted everything. It implied that this wasn't a new issue. It had history. It had context. And whatever finally pushed her to speak must have been significant enough to outweigh the risk of going public. Because in a sport like NHRA, going public isn't just about speaking your mind, it's about accepting the consequences that come with it. The use of the word dirty added another layer to the situation. In racing, that word carries serious implications. It's not just about aggressive driving. It suggests crossing a line, potentially putting others at risk, or operating in a way that disrespects the sport. That's why fans reacted so strongly. Brittany didn't sound like she was venting. She sounded like she was making a statement. And when she expressed disappointment rather than anger, It made the situation feel even more serious. Disappointment suggests that expectations were broken, that trust was once there and is now gone. As the story continues to unfold, attention has shifted to Alexis DeJoria and how she might respond. So far, the silence has only added to the tension. In a situation like this, silence can mean many things. It can be a strategic choice, a way to avoid escalating the situation. It can be a sign of confidence, trusting that actions will speak louder than words. Or it can be interpreted as avoidance, allowing speculation to grow without challenge. Regardless of the intent, the result is the same. The spotlight intensifies. What makes this situation even more complex is its potential impact on the entire NHRA community. When a driver like Brittany speaks out, it doesn't stay contained. It affects how teams interact, how drivers perceive each other, and how the sport is viewed by fans. There are already whispers that others in the paddock may share similar concerns but have chosen not to speak publicly. When Brittany reportedly said, "I'm not the only one who's noticed," it transformed the narrative from a personal conflict into something that could involve a broader pattern. Now, every future interaction between Brittany and Alexis DeJoria will carry added weight. Every race will feel different. It won't just be about performance, it will feel like a statement. In a sport where races are decided in fractions of a second, mindset can make all the difference. And when emotions enter the equation, the stakes rise even higher. Racing at over 300 miles per hour demands complete focus, yet rivalries like this have a way of pushing drivers to their limits, both mentally and physically. Fans have already begun analyzing everything. Old interviews, race footage, even body language. Moments that once seemed insignificant are now being treated as clues. A missed handshake becomes a sign of tension. A short answer becomes a hint of frustration. This is how narratives grow, especially when there's no clear resolution. And Brittany's statement, "You've only seen the nice version," has only fueled that curiosity. It suggests there's more beneath the surface, more than what fans have been allowed to see. At its core, this situation is about more than just two drivers. It's about trust, respect, and the unspoken rules that keep a high-pressure sport functioning. Brittany didn't just hint at a problem, she changed the way people perceive it. Whether Alexis DeJoria responds or not, the narrative has already shifted. And in motorsports, perception can be just as powerful as reality. Looking ahead, the biggest question isn't just what was said or what happened. It's what comes next. Because in NHRA, the real answers don't come from interviews or statements, they come from the track. When Brittany and Alexis DeJoria line up again, everything will feel different. The energy, the focus, the intensity, it will all be amplified. And fans won't just be watching the scoreboard. They'll be watching for something deeper, something that can't be measured in time or speed. Because sometimes, the most important battles in racing aren't about who crosses the finish line first. They're about what happens before the lights go green, and what it all means after the race is over.